Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day. Today is the 46th Sabad in Rag Sorat Mahalla Panjama, compositions of the 5th Nanak Guru Arjan. And in this Sabad, the central message again is that one becomes anchored in self-knowledge only when the fever of the ego is cooled. So in the Rahau, the Guru makes that clear. Harjan simraya naam adhar, taap utarya satgure pure, apni kirpa tar rahau. So what is being said here is, Harjan simraya naam adhar. Now this is a descriptive state. This is what happens. The Harjan, the seeker, becomes mindfully anchored in the wisdom of the self. Harjan simraya naam adhar. This happens. So this is descriptive of what happens when taap utarya, the fever is reduced. Satgure pura, the true enlightener, the perfect, the complete, whole. Apni kirpa tar, when in its mercy, when it is merciful and pleased, it gives us the medicine or the guidance to do taap utarya. Taap is fever, feverish. And this is an indication of the ego. So you see what has to happen, that the ego has to be healed because it's fragmented. It has to be made whole. And the Guru is the Pura. So we have to connect with the Satgur Pura because the Guru is whole and we are fragmented. The ego is fragmented, wounded, if you will. So it has to heal. And for that, remembrance, internalization of Nam, the essence of the divine, is where it has to connect. But the capacity to truly do Simran arises only after the fire of Haume, ego fever, is cooled. You see? So the Satgur here is not always an external person, but actually the awakened principle within, the internal guide, the voice of cosmic truth. So when one orients towards Nam, with the guidance of the Guru function, if you will, grace descends. So now this is the descriptive state, the mechanism. In the opening verse, the Guru is actually speaking about his experience. He says, Bakhasia Parbraham Parmesar, sagale rog bidare, gur pure ki sarani ubbre, karj sagal savare. Now, this is again an accomplishment. Something has been accomplished. So in here, in these two lines, you have the process and the psychological map for inner transformation. So what we see here is that the first movement in this process is the act of seeking guidance from an enlightened source, which is the Gurupura, wholesomeness. So he's saying, Bakhasia Parbraham Parmesar sagale rog bidare. This is the end result. Bakhasia, bakshish, I was gifted by the Parbraham Parmesar, the transcendent, the supreme being. And my affliction was removed. My ego completely dissolved. How did that happen? Gurpure ki sarani. I connected with the Gur Enlightener. Sarani sought its refuge. Ubre, and then I was uplifted. Karaj sagal savare, all of my affairs were resolved, meaning inner contradictions were resolved. Karaj sagale, and I flourished. I became wholesome. My fragmented ego became whole. Gur pure ki saranai ubbare, karaj sagale savare. In other words, the Guru shaped my mind to make it receptive, to dissolve the ego so it is receptive. And then you see the gift of Parbraham Parmesar. So there is a sequence and a hierarchy here. The ego is fragmented. It seeks out the Gur that is pura, that is whole. So when you conjoin with what is wholesome, you become wholesome. When you are whole, then you come to the realization of Parbraham Parmesar. You understand the ontology then. You recognize that it is Parbraham Parmesar that is all pervasive. There is no ego left. Sagale rog bedare, all of your afflictions disappear. So in the concluding verse, again a description of a state. This is what happens. Sada anand karho mere pyare, har govind gur rakhya, vadi vadi ai nanak karte ki, sach sabad sat pakhya. When the true sabad, the eternal sabad, and its truth was spoken, that is the great gift. Great is the glory of the Creator. Vadi vadiyai nanak karte ki, whose word reveals the truth. Sach sabad sat pakhya. So you see, that is the glory. So the Guru says, Sada ananda raho mere pyare, I am now in a state of bliss. That is to say, in a state of wholesomeness. Har, the sustainer, has protected me through the Guru. Har Govind Guru Rakhya. So, turning to the Guru Enlightener and holding on to that inner center results in Sada Anand, perpetual joy. Now, this should not be confused with mood-based happiness. This is a different kind of baseline. This is alignment with wisdom. So this is the ontological seal of the Shabad, if you will, the affirmation that the structure of reality is shaped by the Sabad. The Shabad is the primal vibrational word. It's not only symbolic speech, but it's making a statement here about the very fabric of its existence. That behind all phenomena lies this uttered truth. So you see, you have to connect with it, because you are resonating with it, but you are fragmented, you are broken from it. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.